God is never a rush. Neither should we be.
You're good.
We're good? All right, we are trying some new things here. Lighting, cameras, posting on YouTube, gonna get real fancy. And so we kind of tested this out, and I can go this far, and I can go that far, but if I go any further, I'm out of camera view. So if I get excited and I step up on this side, yell at me and tell me to get back, or the same thing on that side.
God delay.
There we go. We got a couple of cool announcements here. This Sunday, Pastor Nunez, who is the pastor that I visit when I go to the Dominican Republic, is going to be here. We did get, is Marie here? Yeah. The other Marie. Anyway, she hooked us up with an interpreter because Nunez is kind of rusty with his English. So we'll have an interpreter, but this is going to be a lot of fun. He's a fireball. He is a fireball, and he's going to bring a good word. I know it. I know it. So this is his first time coming here to our church. He's going to be in North Carolina for a couple months, and he's looking at starting a Spanish-speaking church, either here or in Hickory. So we'll see how that goes. So that'll be a lot of fun. But he's a riot. He's a riot. What does anybody know? I've seen these signs around that say this is the year of the rabbit.
Chinese.
Is that Chinese
Yeah,
thing?
that's Chinese, yeah.
Okay.
I was born a year rabbit. Yeah, and they see a cycle.
Well, we've been saying this is going to be the year. God's got a sense of humor. He really does, even for Chinese people. Because I've been saying since the year turned that this was going to be a year of increase in blessing. And I saw that in the store window yesterday. This is the year of the rabbit. What do rabbits do? They multiply. So he's speaking prophetically to the Chinese community and probably didn't even know it. But I got my MacBook Pro delivered yesterday.
Yay.
My prize. And but I haven't opened it yet. And also we're going to do, and it's more than an outreach, but I might as well just open it up to everybody, but we're going to do it as an outreach. We're going to do a financial seminar. And it's not going to be, tell you what it's not going to be. It's not going to be how to get out of debt. And it's not going to be where to put your money if you have money, but it's going to be about growing your finances. And we're going to stick to that. You know, how to, if you want to know what to do with your money, you got to have money first, right? And years ago, I told this before, years ago, we had a financial planner come to the house because we never had enough money. And we opened up our checking account and showed him everything. And he says, well, you don't have anything to invest. He says, you don't have enough finances. He says, matter of fact, you don't even have enough money to pay your bills. I said, well, we pay our bills every month. Yeah, but he said, on paper, it doesn't work. I said, well, I don't know what to tell you, but every month we eat, we pay our bills, and everything is taken care of one way or the other. So there's two ways that God can bless you. And it's called either raise the bridge or lower the water. So he can either lower your expenses or he can just provide increase. But either way, he'll get the job done. And there's a bunch of stories in my book to that effect. And what's really interesting is I wrote that book 2 years ago. And it's been sitting around doing nothing, basically. And I was like, okay, whatever. And all of a sudden now, and with your help,
It was gone.
and all of a sudden it's taken off. the funny part is how I got the money to produce the book is in one of the last stories in the book, because the IRS paid for the book without them even knowing it. But I was going through an audit, which if you've ever been through an audit, that can get kind of scary. And I had hired a tax attorney to help me get through that. And lo and behold, without me even knowing about it, without even getting a word from the tax attorney, a check showed up from the IRS for about $5,000, which is almost to the dollar what it costs to publish the book. So the IRS paid for the book. So I wasn't sweating the fact that I said, at some point the book will do something when God is ready. In His timing, it'll all come together. So I guess this is the timing. And who's here for Marie and Chris's testimony? Isn't that incredible? Talk about God's timing. God makes a promise, and it may delay, but when He says it's time, it's time. Okay, so we'll tell you more about that seminar as it comes up, but it's basically geared for an outreach. You know, a lot of people struggling, not knowing how to make ends meet, and God can prosper you regardless of what the economy is doing. Doesn't matter what the economy is doing. Doesn't matter if you're on a fixed income. God is able to provide not only what you need, but extra so that you can be a blessing to others. How many baskets were left over after they fed the 12, after they fed the 5,000? 12 baskets left over. So plenty to go around. Which leads me to, and I'm going to reverse things a little bit and go down to a different, well, we're going to do a different passage than what I originally quoted in Isaiah. And this is in Joshua chapter 3. And we're looking at somewhere around 3, verse 5, in and around that area. When Israel was in Egypt and they got released from Egypt and they stood by the Red Sea, panicking, the sea parted first. The sea opened up. And then they walked, you know the story, they walked across on dry land. But the sea opened up first. See, there's two kinds of people. One kind says, show me and then I'll believe. And the other kind of people are the kind that say, I believe, and then I'm going to see it happen. I'm going to take God at His word, and I'm going to act today as if what I'm believing for happened yesterday. And it's a difference between a young believer and a mature believer. So after they spend years in the desert and they're ready to go into the promised land, there's a big shift in their mindset when they're about to cross the Jordan. He sends the priests in and tells them to walk into the river first before anything happens. Then the Jordan parts. What did we say the other day? Without faith, it's what? Impossible to please God. God expects us to get to a point where we don't have to see the miracle first before we believe. He wants us to get to the point where we read a promise in here and it's as good as done in our mind, whether we see it or not. That's a mature faith. That's scary. That's scary. When you look at the bank statement, when you look at the report from the doctor, when a relationship gets broken and somebody slams the phone in your face, but God says he's going to repair it. Folks, this is meat. This is, you want to see big miracles? You want to see God really move? That's what it takes. You got to walk in the water and then it parts. And I get it. It's scary. I'm in that place right now. I'm in that place right now. And I can hear this barking in my ear. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. You're going to fail. You're trusting in something that's never going to happen. You're going to look foolish. You're going to look like an idiot. And you got to tell that voice, shut up. You got to tell that voice, shut up. Because it's either in here or God puts it in the wind. God puts it in the wind. You hear it from here and here and here, and you get to develop a sense for hearing the voice of the Lord. Weeks ago, for some reason, whatever I was doing, talking about Peter getting out of the boat and walking on the water. That story has been coming at me from every different angle. I can't get away from that story. And so, you remember the cartoons or something, where there's a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other. You seen that stuff, right? I got a devil on one side saying you're going to fail, and I got the voice of the Lord on the other side saying you're going to walk on the water. Okay, well, who are we going to listen to? Who are we going to listen to? But it gets different. When I was a baby in God, I was that guy that said, Lord, you need to part the water and then I'll walk across it. I need to see the miracle first. He's growing us up. David's facing the giant, and what does he do? He runs to the battle. He doesn't just stand there and get ready and get defensive and wait for Goliath to come at him, and get all positioned. No. He just goes right for it. He just goes right for it. Now we'll go to Isaiah. Because one of the loudest voices that the enemy uses, see, because he don't want you to have that testimony. As you grow, God wants to put you in impossible situations. Because if it's possible with man, what good is that? Where's the power of that testimony? It's bad enough that when God does a miracle, that you have you're surrounded by naysayers that try to explain the miracle away. Well, it was this. Well, it was that. Or it was a coincidence. It was going to happen anyway. That's why I had to leave Lazarus in the tomb for 3 days. To make sure that he was completely dead and nobody could say anything any different. David runs to the battle. What we need to do is bring him impossible situations. We need to bring impossible situations to him. And what's going to happen when he comes through? You're going to share that with everybody you know. You're not going to believe what God did. Here's this situation, and there's no way that this thing was going to get fixed. No way. And guess what happened? It got fixed. It got fixed. That's powerful stuff. Now, if you tell a story of a situation, am I doing okay? I'm staying where I'm supposed to stay?
You're staying within your boundaries.
Yeah. I'm pacing though. I'm still pacing. If once in your life you bring an impossible story up to somebody, they're going to say, oh, that was going to happen anyway. But what if you live a life filled with impossible situations all the time? And people will say, well, you're just the luckiest person in the world. That's their opportunity to shoot them down. Say, I'm not lucky. It's not about luck. There is no such thing as luck. I'm highly favored. I serve my God. I take care of his business, and he takes care of my business. I take care of things that he prompts me to do, and I do my best to listen for what he wants me to do, and he covers my back. And that comes from a complete understanding of who he is, what his personality is like, and what his nature is like. And when you're on that, in that solid place, that I know that all the past junk that I've ever done is washed away. I'm righteous in his sight because he paid the price for me. Then I'm comfortable in my skin when trouble comes and I know it's not him beating me over the head with a stick. And then I can stand in that impossible situation knowing I'm going to come out of the other side glowing. I come out the other side of that situation on top of everything. See, this year, we've been through a lot. But here's where we are. And it's going a little earlier than I thought. Chapter 49 and starts in verse 8. It says, thus says the Lord.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Sorry, Isaiah 49:8. Okay? Thus says the Lord, in an acceptable time, I'm telling you right now, you're in an acceptable time. You're in a visitation time. You're coming into a season of blessing. Okay? In an acceptable time, and he's speaking to you. Take this personally as if it's God speaking directly to you. In an acceptable time, I have heard you. And in the day of salvation, which is now, I have helped you. I will preserve you and give you as a covenant to the people. Okay? This is your assignment. This is what he's telling you to do. Every single person is a minister for Jesus Christ. I don't care if you're in a pulpit or in a taxi cab. This is your assignment. Okay? To restore the earth. There's a lot of people out there that don't know Christ, and they've been beat up. At least we knew whose wings to hide underneath during all this junk. But there's a lot of people that, just go down the list. It's a mess, and they don't know where to go. So he's telling you, I've restored you, but I want you to restore those that you run into. To restore the earth, to cause them to inherit the desolate heritages, that you may say to the prisoners, go forth, be free. To those who are in darkness, show yourselves. They shall feed along the roads, and their pastures shall be all desolate heights. They shall neither hunger nor thirst. He's giving you the details of what. Neither heat nor sun shall strike them, for he who has mercy on them will lead them. He's speaking how you're going to minister to the unsaved. Even by the springs of water, he will guide them. I will make each of my mountains a road, and my highways shall be elevated. Surely these shall come from afar. Look, those from the north and the west, and from the land of Sinim. Sing, O heavens, be joyful, earth, and break out in singing, O mountains. For the Lord has comforted his people and will have mercy on his afflicted. Okay? That's what he's wanting you to do. Told Abraham, I'm going to bless you so that you can be a blessing. Baskets overflowing. But Zion, which is you, said, the Lord has forsaken me, and my Lord has forgotten me. That's where a lot of believers have been this past year. Crying out, being under the gun, being oppressed, not getting anywhere, things not going their way. And a lot of believers gotten into that place where you say, God, are you still around? Are you aware of what I've been going through? Where are you? It's a natural thing. When things are going really, really rough, and you just go before God and say, why have you forsaken me? And here's his answer. Here's how he responds to you. Can a woman forget her nursing child and not have compassion on the son of her womb? Surely they may forget, yet I will not forget you. See, I have inscribed you on the palm of my hands. This is powerful. palms of Jesus look like? They got holes in them. He's got holes in his hands. Why does he have holes in his hands? Because he was crucified. I've inscribed you in the palms of my hand. And he's resurrected, he's alive, he's healed. Those scars are still there. Those scars are still there. And he's speaking that directly to you. When you get in that place and you're miserable and nothing's going right, and you're questioning everything, seems like you're forgotten, he's forgotten you, he's forsaken you. He's like, how can I forget you? I've been quiet for a while, maybe. But you're inscribed on the palms of my hands. Yeah, forever.
Hey, Pete, can't make this up. In verse 12, the translation that I'm reading, land of Sinim, shows it as China.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay, just watch the water.
Yeah.
Okay. See, this is where Israel went wrong. Israel was placed in one of the most strategic places in the world. It was the crossroads from the Far East to the West. And those were the trade routes. All of that trade passed through the land of Israel. What a great place for them to bring Jehovah to all the nations. And they were blessed. And here's the danger of the prosperity doctrine. Okay? Is I get blessed and I get to keep it all for myself. Israel was blessed to be a blessing. The prosperity doctrine said, you're going to get blessed, and now you can go buy bigger houses and bigger cars and Lear jets and all these other things. When the city was under siege and the lepers went out of the gate and they found all the spoils outside the gate, they sat, after they got their fill, they sat around and said, look, it's not right for us to keep this all for ourselves. Let's go back into the city and tell them, hey, it's party time. There's a blessing here. As the blessings come this year, here's a warning. As the blessings come this year, keep in mind, they're not for you to consume all for you. You're going to get blessed to be a blessing. It's real easy to forget. You know, it's harder to deal. I know this is going to sound like, oh, I'd love to deal with that, but you can ask almost anybody that's won the lottery. Almost all of them are broke or bankrupt because they missed this concept. You read the stories, people won millions and millions of dollars, and they lavished it on themselves, and now they're broke. Right? Happens all the time. You're going to get blessed to be a blessing. It's harder to deal with. You know, say, well, I'd love to have that problem, right? We're all going to joke on that. You know, I'd love to win $1 million. You know, and I would do this and that and so on. But then a lot of people don't follow through with that. You know, oh, I'd give so much to charity and this and all that. Typically, they don't. They just get caught up in it. They spend it on themselves. Says, he continues, your walls are continually before me. You know, you're his highest priority. You are his highest priority. You are extremely, extremely important to him. You don't have any hobbies. Doesn't have any other distractions. You are the most important thing to him. That's why his hands have holes in them. More promises. Your sons shall make haste. Your destroyers and those who laid you waste shall go away from you. Lift up your eyes, look around, and see. This is the day to lift up your eyes. When people are depressed and overburdened, they hang their head low. Walk around like that. What he's saying right now, in this hour, for all of us, is lift up your heads and look up. What do you tell Abraham? When Abraham got kind of moody and things weren't going his way, God said, Abraham, look at the stars and know that I am that I am. All these gather together and come to you. As I live, says the Lord, you shall surely clothe yourselves with them, all as an ornament, and bind them on you as a bride does. For your waste and desolate places, and the land of your destruction, will even now be too small for the inhabitants, and those who swallowed you up will be far away. You watch the news, and I'm not going to go too deep into it. All of those people who a year ago and longer had you under their thumb. We're going to double the number of IRS agents. We're going to raise your taxes. We're going to flood the country with people without any background verifications at all. We're going to shut down the pipeline. All of these things coming at God's people and others as well. Where are they now? And where are they on their way to? God is mopping the floor with these people. He's mopping the floor. And I'll just pick one that I think is absolutely hysterical. And I hate to get political, but it's not really politics. I'm just watching God do his thing. We're watching incredible miracles on this front every day. So everybody, you guys know the story of Haman and Mordecai, right? You know, they build a gallows for Mordecai, and then Haman is the guy who ends up getting strung up. You know, the device that he built to kill the good guy, we'll paraphrase it, the device he built to kill the good guy turned around and was the device that killed him. The same waters that wiped all those people out in Noah's day were the same waters that lifted him up and saved him. But anyway, so the guy in the White House looks at the story of the guy who used to be in the White House and says, how irresponsible that you had all of these top secret classified documents. That's terrible. How despicable. How irresponsible. And now, what was it? It was been 90 days, 2 months later? The accuser becomes the accused. The hunter becomes the hunted.
Along with Hunter.
Along with Hunter.
Good one. And worse. And absolutely worse. See, man makes his plans and God laughs.
Yeah.
God just laughs. He's the master at chess. He is the. You ever play a computer chess game and you think you're going to win? And then the computer just comes out of nowhere and just annihilates you? I mean, this is funny stuff. God has a sense of humor. The thing that he brought, the thing that Biden brought against the appointed one, and I'm not favoring people. I'm favoring who God favors. And he uses people who are not perfect. But he picked them and he used them. And when he tried to do the right thing, they shot him down. And what's happened is God stepped on the scene and said, sit down, relax. I got this. I'll deal with them. I'll deal with your enemies. That's exactly what has been going on. Exactly what's been happening. But that's, I mean, you can't make that, that's funny stuff. This is funny stuff. You didn't see that one coming. Definitely didn't. And he's doing more of that and continuing. He's continuing. That's why you can't be afraid to step out. That's why you can't be afraid to step out of the boat. You pray about it. You do your best. And then you move. Then you move in the direction that God is saying, whether the river is full or whether the river is empty. It doesn't matter. Bring your impossibilities and put them at his feet. If he wrote your name on the palms of his hands, how much more will he not do for you what you need to see done? 3 big areas: finance, health, relationships. Almost every issue you run into has to do with one of those 3 things, or all 3 at the same time. He delights in fixing impossible things. He delights in healing the thing that they say can't be healed. He delights in wiping out debts that would take you 20 years to pay off. He delights in restoring that relationship where somebody says, I never want to talk to you again. The more impossible, the better. The more impossible it is for you to fix that situation, the better. He's just sitting there waiting for you to ask him for help. Lord, I've done everything I know how to do. I've done everything that I can possibly think of I can do to fix this situation, and it's no better. I need you. And that's when he walks on the scene and says, have a seat. I got this. I got this. I'm glad that the book is starting to move. Not because of money, certainly not. And not because of recognition. But I wrote that book for the person that's in an impossible situation. And for them to be encouraged and look at that and say, well, if he can do that for that knucklehead, he can certainly do that for me. That's why it's there. That's why your testimony of your impossible situation is the most important, one of the most important weapons that you could possibly have. More important than prayer, more important than worship, more important than a lot of things. because without faith, it's impossible to please him. You can worship till the cows come home. Is that a good one, or you got another? Have you got a frog or a biscuit story that can, I mean,
Just hanging in there like a cat with no claws, about to skip it, Steve.
like a cat with no claws? Yeah, I like that one.
Sort of thing, yeah.
That one works. That one works. Appreciate that. I'm gonna keep that. But you get my point, okay? This goes counter to logic. Our nature screams, run away from impossible situations, run and hide. That's what our nature. It takes a certain amount of wackiness for somebody to bring up an impossible situation and say, God's gonna handle this and it's gonna all work out. You gotta have a screw loose in a way to do that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you what, it's very addictive. It's more addictive. I want to see God move in everybody's situations. When I hear of him, I hear somebody say, I'm in this problem and it's like impossible. And I'm like, good. Because God gets to prove who he is, and you get to keep the story. You get to take the story home. You get to take the story home, and you get to share the story. And people go, really? I say, yeah. Yeah, it's a true story. I want to close with that, Standing in Miracles. That's another one of those songs, man. I've had that thing on repeat forever and ever and ever. Yeah, I think I'm done. Yeah, I think so.
Let me in this for